way to run a business. Right? So it's got nothing to do with blockchain, nothing to do with ICOs. It's just the moral system of the company. Now, back to the other point of whether it's a startup or whether it's because about 80% of the room here, or maybe 90% are non-startups. So you have a business that's been running traditionally from a shop running to an enterprise. Okay, a big enterprise. Now the question is that you need additional funding. So you can actually use tokens to actually be more inclusive, to include the community. So with more of the community involved, then you will have a bigger opportunity to scale your business. Okay, that's the idea of community scaling. You know, if you just do vertical and you only have your friend to do business, I can't include everybody here in this space. Now with the blockchain space and community, I can include everybody here to be a participant of any business. And then on top of that, I will also have maybe a reward system. If you participate, I'll give you an incentive. You know, a little token of incentive. You're riding the bicycle, you sweat, I give you token. I pay you to exercise. That's a bicycle. That's a good idea, actually. I pay you to exercise. Right, that's quite. So really, is there a reverse incentive for the consumers whom you're actually serving as well? So I think with that, I think it's a very something to think about, and then the funding will come. So if you have the project that is running with a very good community use, particularly blockchain, then the funding will come.
The other approach that for Obike actually, this is an interesting thing, because for Obike, when they started off, and this is a use case discussion, right? So for Obike, when they launched the business and they ran a business, what was good and something tangible that people could see as a business is that there was a business model. There was people using it. There was a test phase that went through it. And the only thing that I have a bugbear about at this point of time is that they're not telling people about the GST token. On the last time I saw it was in a convention, and there was just 2 persons in the booth space. They should try to engage the community on a bigger perspective and say that, hey, when you ride the bicycle at this point of time, I'm being paid, sweat, you know, and I get paid, exercise and I get paid. There is actually a value on the token itself. And can these tokens be used to actually rent the bicycles back? I hope they can do that. That was $3,000 worth of consultation fees. Please let me know. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I completely agree about community. I think what blockchain brought in that was new I've been running businesses, but blockchain is new, is the community element. I think with the community element, suddenly it opened up a new way of doing business, about involving your customers, involving the people who you're supposed to interact with. The holy grail of all blockchain companies is mass adoption. Everyone is gunning for that. If I already have a big group of users, a big group of community, oh, that's the holy grail. And that's how we also see which blockchain projects are more likely to succeed. I think this is a benchmark that we're looking at. But I also don't want to forget the team of people that are actually doing this. And we see more and more established business people actually entering the ICO and blockchain space. And this is very important. The first wave of a lot of ICOs were ran by a lot of people with no practical business experience. And when you evaluate a startup and you look at them, oh, it's exciting because it's blockchain, but these guys have actually no business sense at all, no business acumen. How do I then value this token, value this business? You know, how? But with the influx of more experienced business people who have spent the last 10 years, 20 years of their life building up a successful business, this creates good projects that then are easier to value and easier to invest in, and I think it will help the whole entire community.
Yes. Vincent, I think before I invite the audience, maybe you can more explain about how to improve the people capabilities to running the project management, because this is an issue.
Interesting question. I think there's a double-edged sword. I just said just now that more experienced people in business coming in to ICO is good. But in the inverse, they might not also understand the ICO business. They might not understand the blockchain business. Leslie just now made a very good example. You try to build up ICO without a community, good luck to you. Unfortunately, I know people who did. Because they did business for so long, they thought they know, they come in and they say, okay, let's do it. No, just focus on the tech, just focus on the investment, just focus on the MVP, just push it up. People will take it up. No.
When you don't even have a marketing plan
they
in
don't
place.
have a marketing plan in place, they don't have anything in place, and they just try to push it up. Of course, what happened, it was a major fault. The price crash, of the token crash, and the project didn't really take up. So it's a double-edged sword. So these are guys who are then coming in, and so it's education both ways. You need to educate business people, business leaders, what is an ICO business, how do you build the community.
And also special training.
Yes, training. But we also need to educate the ICO people, the blockchain people, okay, this is how traditional business works, so maybe you can marry a bit of this together to create a more sustainable environment for both investments and business.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree. I think team composition is very important. So most of the blockchain projects we see today are actually built by engineers and not specifically like entrepreneurs or people with like good business acumen or experience. So like good team composition, if you are looking, if you are into tech, you probably need to find your other half who's into the business side. Same for the marketing aspects as well. Right? If you are into all these other stuff, you need to find like complementary partners and co-founders to match. And as with all businesses, I think the next step will be then getting a mentor who will be there to help you out. People who have done it before and just take an open ear or an advisory firm, for example, right? Yeah. So these definitely have value rather than teams that are heavily one-sided, whole team of engineers and then no business acumen, no customer acquisition strategy, no experience running business operations. Therefore, like they are more likely to fail. So that's what we're seeing. And like things like valuation, investor relations, there are still many more aspects of the business that is not taken care of currently. That's what we see the landscape actually is. So I would say team composition and getting the right partners on board.
Okay, I think the question was how can we bring up the capabilities of fellow members on the panel? Okay, I think this one is quite simple. It's either maybe one line, go back to school. I mean, I got to read about it as well, right? So no one's going to download. I don't have a USB thumb drive, or even if I have, I still need to read it. So look, if you want to do any business, adopt anything, or you want to invest, first invest in yourself. So you have Leslie. For me, I also invest in companies. I look at projects. Okay, I look at projects. I look at team composition as well. That's the first thing. But I think the key, as I go into projects, I run about 6 projects right now on several projects that are taking off, startups. I also created recently Crypto Valley Singapore, and that's not for profit. This movement actually is to actually grow the literacy level of blockchain technology amongst the masses, amongst businesses, and the government as well. Government don't know everything. And okay, maybe I'll take that back.
It's live.
Okay, next.
Sure, you can still leave the country. Yeah. Anyway, for on that note, right, the education perspective, because we Singapore Bitcoin Club has been educating the public since 2015, basically. Personally, I've been doing since 2015, and Singapore Bitcoin Club is 2016. So the issue that we face is that we don't have enough time to educate, because the topic itself for blockchain is so diverse, it's so vast, and you are actually implementing from a business. You need to have the business sense as well. So sometimes we have to educate the business aspect of an entrepreneur. These are all mindsets and that needs to be changed to evolve with the technology itself. So I just wanted to highlight some of the things, and thank you for Rennie for pointing this out in terms of education. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, now we can move to question and answer from the audience. Please raise your hand, and specifically you can ask for the panelists or each of our panelists. Please.
I have a question. One of the biggest issues with ICOs and blockchain is the lack of use cases.
Sorry.
This is more from the VC side.
Yeah, this is more just from the VC side. One of the biggest challenges you have with blockchain adoption is the lack of use cases that can pull it through, to pull it into enterprise. I'm not talking about the public side, I'm talking about the enterprise side. And what you have is, from a VC side, when you go and talk to a VC side, the first question is, what's your technology? If you don't have technology, there's no use to it because we're focused on technology. So what you have is you don't have that VC saying, look at business, and I think what you were saying earlier is bringing in the industry experts that can think differently, that bring in that business side to help propel it to that next level. The problem you have is blockchain's new. Businesses, you can talk to CEOs, CFOs, they have no idea how blockchain fits in. So if you look for an existing company from a VC side that's already running, you don't get anybody because you're going to have someone that's going to be a startup. So now what you have is you have a middle part there that's a use case that is a startup that can pull the technology and not just say, I'm going to run on IBM or I'm going to run here. They take the old traditional ways and say, how do you take that first technology and bring it up to the next level? My question is, from a VC side, most of the VCs that I've talked to in the last year, if you're not technology, they don't want to talk to you. And if you don't already have a track record, they don't want to talk to you. So my question is, from a VC side, how do you see that changing? Because that's the way you start to get more adoption, mass adoption. The benefit of an ICO is visibility. If you can get your name out and the industry sees it, then you get the industry saying, we're going to come on board, i.e. the Walmart thing that they're doing with IBM. So how do you get that visibility from an industry side using VC and leveraging the VC side? Sorry, it's a long question. I'm just curious.
Panelists, you want to answer?
VCs can answer first.
So I say as with most new technology, in terms of adoption, right? Let's talk about email. When email just came out, people are talking about fax, right? I would rather fax something to you than to email you. This is because mainly it's the barrier of entry, which is own a computer at the time, which was very expensive. So we see the same for mobile gaming as well. We used to have you used to have to buy a console like a PlayStation Portable, which would cost like $300-400. But now with the advent of the smartphone, mobile gaming is made much more available to everyone, and therefore now we have mass adoption, in fact, of mobile gaming. I think companies or VCs, they need to see it from a further perspective for mass adoption to happen and not get themselves stuck in the present, which is what they are not supposed to do. But unfortunately, a lot of them are basing their investments off the present, which is not right. So as with all technology, again, things like Airbnb, Uber, like we were saying, like, oh, why would you want to get a stranger's car? Why do you want to stay in a stranger's home? I remember my parents were telling me, like, better not, stay in an Airbnb is so dangerous. But now that's a norm. So think more future, and personally, I don't see that as a problem. So like, I am I consider myself a futurist, right? Because of all this. So I would say to companies, try to think big and look more into the future rather than basing their judgment off the present.
Okay, when we look at VCs, right, or if we look at ICOs, we basically are another form of crowdfunding. Just another way of raising money. Now, if you look at VCs generally will only go into a business because you're already profitable. Am I right? Yes. So if you go to VC, then the mindset is you have to show them your revenue projection for the last 3 years. But if you're a startup, I mean, you basically have months of expenses that you haven't even, there's no revenue in. Okay? So the beauty of blockchain and ICOs and crowdfunding will be your answer. Last year, as I mentioned earlier, 2017, banks, until today actually, I came from the bank, right? I'm not going to give you credit line. I'm an alien here, I'm a foreigner, right? So I'm not going to get a credit line from the local bank here. The only thing that Indonesia government knows about me is only what's on my passport, and that's based on my Singapore government passport. Other than that, I don't have a birth certificate here, I don't have a credit card here, I don't work here, so there's no way the bank will give me a credit line. So it's the same, I will not lend you 10% if I'm a bank. Oh, sorry, not 10%, I'll not lend you 10 cents. If I do not have an idea of who you are, that's the first thing. Second thing is, how am I going to get the 10 cents back? So meaning that that's from a lending transaction perspective. But let's not go into that. So crowdfunding is another way for you to actually raise the funds. Okay? Now, other than community, consensus is a key thing. Consensus means VCs are only like Ivan and myself here, but I don't know everything. So a doctor, a PhD, he knows more than me, I'm sure. Right? But consensus is different. I throw the topic, I throw the project out to everybody. If I take a poll here, if most people say okay, jalan, let me get the money. Full stop. Okay.
The only comment I have when you say bring in industry partners and bring in people who are more, I'm referring more to people like in the industry of which you want to do your ICO in. I mean, have any of you tried to change a law, any law, here? How easy was it?
Depends on how you do it.
Also depends on which country and who you can write. So this is like
5 years ago, yes.
This is live, guys.
okay, but okay. There, I have seen. I mean, I've read white papers. People who have managed to raise some money on projects that are just not feasible because it doesn't comply with the law. You simply cannot, and bring in anybody who has been in the industry for more than 5 years or more than 4 years will probably be able to tell you that straight off. But your consensus mechanism is working within a lot of crypto people who only know crypto, and they're going saying, and maybe an ICO bench will say, this is a fantastic project. But that doesn't mean anything when you try to apply that project on the ground in an environment where then, hey, first of all, doesn't even comply with the law. Second of all, I cannot deploy to the next step really. So these are things that when we look at the team, the people who are in the ICO team, and you see engineer, ICO people who have done a dozen ICOs, and no one from the industry, that's a big red flag.
I just want to make a comment on changing the law. I actually like this, so thank you. The first thing you do is you have to comply with the existing laws. And if you know that there's something that is wrong with the existing law, you still comply with it. I had this happen back in the 90s. Tax deductibility of shrinkage. You file it the way it's supposed to be. Then you file it the way you think it should be, with the reason why it should be going that direction, so you start the government to think about how it should change. It might take 6 months, it might take a year. So you follow the existing, you then go through and say, here's what it should be. They can deny it, or they can think about it. And it's really just getting visibility, that's it. That's how you go through and change the law.
Thank you.
Okay. You want to add?
No, I have nothing to add. It's okay.
There's a VC question, so yeah.
Hello. So generally, unlike blockchain, cryptocurrency got negative reception from the government. And what I want to know, is it possible for blockchain ecosystem to thrive without any kind of compensation, because as far as I know, existing blockchain use cryptocurrency as their compensation. Thank you.
Okay, so you're asking, can there be blockchain without crypto, and can there be crypto? Is that the question? Okay. So I'll take this one, I guess. Yeah, so for blockchain is the technology. The incentive to maintain the technology is usually done via the cryptocurrencies. So that should actually be educated across the board. However, that being said, you have centralized systems, you have decentralized systems, which means to say, from a governing point of view, you may want to control everything, especially when it comes to public records. Then there isn't a need for a incentive in the first place. Okay? Which means to say you can have the blockchain without the cryptocurrencies. Now, for a project to happen, if you want to engage the community, then there is a need for incentive. Because why would anyone support your project? And it's the same thing as what Rennie has mentioned earlier. If I want to give you 10 cents, how am I going to get back the 10 cents? There has to be some monetary or incentive, and usually it's done through the tokens, to give you that opportunity to partake and believe in the project. Now, partaking and believing on the project means to say that as a community, you need to also start to help let people know about this project, basically. And we're not asking you to shield it and say that, oh, you must buy. No, it's not about that. It's about sharing what is good about the project. For example, again, taking a use case, Obike gonna pay me some money. When you exercise and you show, people will start using it. That's the viral effect that Vincent has mentioned about mass adoption. So today, all of you know that Obike itself is giving you tokens. You might just want to cycle more as a result because I just shared that project with you from a community perspective. Now that's the incentive from a blockchain perspective. They are leveraging on the blockchain technology to enhance their systems, their backend systems, for payments especially, because there is a open ledger, or rather maybe a private ledger that helps to enhance their administrative work basically. Okay? Yeah. So, yeah.
I guess the question is that I caught on the part that why is there a negative perception, not just by government, but I think in general, why ICOs are negative, right? I guess that's also because most of the projects don't work, or didn't work when it was supposed to. Okay. Now in this space, it is new. The technology is still new. Okay, little use cases, little successes. But if I put the technology aside, a lot of businesses also don't function. And it's not just scam. It's partners fall out, can't raise enough money, bad management of their profit of their funds. Okay, idea was no good in the first place. So there was no intent to cheat. Okay, so 9 out of 10 businesses also don't work. So it's no exception to blockchain. Okay, so I just want to get that clear. So not everything is a scam. That's for sure. From my experience, I go through 3 projects a night on average. Right? In 1 month, I go through 60 to 80 projects. It's just that it doesn't have a community value or it doesn't have a universal value. Then I don't invest. I don't invest my money in everything. Cannot be. I've got a limited economic resource, so it's not possible. So I'll choose what I like and what I think is viable from a business perspective with an ROI back to me. I'm an investor, right? So now, unfortunately, in this environment, we have very creative people, dynamic. So no regulations means anything goes.
You guys are too tactful, man.
I mean, Indonesia, we enjoy the culture. So when you're too creative, what happens? I mean, when you're too creative, then say, okay, the way to validate his office, validate his company. Go and take a look physically. You know, go to his farm, go to his plantation, go to his ship to actually see, is it his? Interview a few other people around him. So this is all the very groundwork that you need to do. The bank does that as well. I used to do it as well. And then come and write a report. Yeah, it's called due diligence. So when you want to invest in anything, do that first. as a common sense, and then you put your money. It's hard-earned money, right?
Yes, okay. We have still 10 minutes more. Any other question from right side? No? Left side? Any question? Okay. Oh, yes. Sorry. Oh. Sorry, Pak.
My name is Jenvi Lutfianata. I'm blockchain developer for the demography. Like example, I know that problem in our country, Indonesia, we have very bad regulation. I was develop blockchain for the e-democracy or e-identification since 5 years ago in Timor-Leste. Like we have that until QR integration with data. So we have the software in University of Gajah Mada. I know that our problem maybe we will invite the governor of BI or legislative for making a regulation about the blockchain. Right? You know, you can get mentioned the Bank of Indonesia. We will be use the blockchain for the currency, right? But nothing. We know the cryptocurrency, the Venezuela was the use the cryptocurrency for the cryptocurrency for the transaction for the fight the inflation. Yet I think I hope the Kadin will be the facilitation for the regulation, and maybe we will be mentioned to the revenue the sequential so the contract the track program. Thank you. See you. I hope you have the mention about my mention. Maybe I didn't get asked to you because I know about the cryptocurrency and the blockchain 5-6 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak.
Doctor, I think this question was directed from an Indonesian perspective, right? So do you want to take this instead?
Yes, this is maybe the issue that Pak Rico has announced as not in this morning about the regulation.
Yeah, correct. So you want to take this question instead of us because we are not from Indonesia, so You're welcome to answer in Indonesian Bahasa. It's fine. It doesn't matter whether we
Pak Rennie, jadi
Doctor, can you stand on stage because it's live. We want to hear you.
Memang isu kita tentang regulasi sekarang selalu terlambat dan jauh lebih lambat dari bisnisnya sendiri. Oleh karena itu, tapi itu memang prosedural kita sangat lambat ya. Mulai dari pengajuan sampai ke menjadi undang-undang prosesnya bisa 1, 2, 3 tahun lebih. Jadi mungkin itu yang we have to improve the process of regulation in especially in parliament. Something.
From what little Bahasa I can understand, right? You just mentioned it's a bit late. You want to that. I don't think you're late in the game. Okay, Indonesia, we welcome you to join the blockchain. Even for the person who has asked this question, has been in the space for 6 years, 5 or 6 years. Is a senior as an engineer basically. So I don't think you guys are late in the game. To be honest, there are many other countries who are later in the game as well. So it's good that the government is opening up. as what the gentleman at the back has mentioned in terms of regulations, I think education plays a very important part. And that's why this event, thank you Vincent for organizing this whole event, because if you guys don't really understand fully in terms of how the blockchain can help your country, then education really plays an important part. And that's why you have seminars like this and conferences like this, so that you can learn from the experts, you can learn from people who are already invested in blockchains from other countries. From a cryptocurrency and blockchain perspective, we are always inclusive. We want to encourage growth from that perspective. So feel free to ask those experts around that you have seen to how to help grow Indonesia to the next level, basically. And I do believe they will grow to the next level, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Leslie. I think we are happy to learn and to hear about your statements. It is better for us to learn and from the experts.
In fact, right, I think it's perfect time. You know why?
Yeah.
Because Rennie has mentioned already got a lot of field cases. Take and learn from them, right?
That's
so
a
you
use
don't,
case.
yeah. So you don't have to make the same mistakes that other people make. And because it's so new in terms of technology-wise, we are really at an entry point of level where the experimental stage is being done by other countries. You guys reap the rewards, basically, because you know that this didn't work for them. We shouldn't be doing that, right? Case in point, India wanted to digitize their national currency. I think this was a bit of a question that he asked about Indonesian rupiah to convert to digital. India tried to do that overnight, and it exploded in their face, right? So they want to demonetize their rupee, and they want to digitize the whole thing and tell everybody, please use a digital wallet. But the problem is you have grandfathers, grandmothers who are still very used to using cash. There has to be a transitional period. And on that level itself, the governments are learning this, and they are trying to ease that transaction. Do we foresee that there's going to be a future without cash, hard cash? I personally believe that this is actually happening already. Basically, we will be looking in a cashless society, whether it's digital, whether it's crypto. Yeah.
Say definitely Indonesia is not late at all, or like it's irrelevant with regards to like being early or late. In fact, like as we point out, being late is better because the education and the mistakes all of the just so by the point of being a country or a government being sovereign, like just take a look at China. China was a late adopter in many things, but yet is at the forefront of many things now. So in terms of like Uber, they simply just ban it and then let PTQID get ahead of them, and of course eventually PTQID just acquired Uber for like pennies. So the government is free to do that, and the people that is in the country should adopt the local businesses, and they will eventually because of localization that simply just can't be eaten, right? Because of the consumption lifestyle.
I would say I have to agree with everybody here already, from Leslie to Irfan, that Indonesia is not late. No way are you late. Let me give you a little bit of perspective of how blockchain is about here now. It's only a 10-year-old technology, plus minus. It's only 10 years old. Okay? So is anybody here another 10 years going to retire? Not yet. Okay? Not yet. Well, I mean, if you retire, I'd like to join you. Okay, so 10 years technology. Why this technology became into the forefront was because of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the first use case on a protocol. So the protocol is blockchain technology. Bitcoin is one case. And this case came to light because of the phenomenal transaction growth and returns. So that's the most sexy part. And that is barely 20 months. 20 months. It's not even 2 years old. So if you have children, okay, it's not even 2 years old, means the baby cannot even flip over onto the tummy. Am I right? So late, no way. Late, no way. Okay? What's important is that you cannot wait for the government to actually do something. You are entrepreneurs. You pay tax. So you're supposed to make profits. Okay? You make profits, then government tax you. Okay? So, but I think hand in hand, continue to have the discussion, okay, in little groups, and then slowly mass adoption will come on. And right now, I would say that you will not find many industrial or business use cases yet, simply because the process is extremely long. To do a POC, first, you need to convince management, hey, put some budget. Alright? Then after which, 6 months POC, proof of concept. 6 months, okay, I like the idea, management goes, and then, okay, this is budget finished. Next year's budget. And then we roll out for the next 2-3 years. So by the time an actual use case from the industry comes out, it's going to, for big, large-scale enterprise one, it's going to be easily 3 to 5 years. Okay? Now, this is on an enterprise level. Why? Because it's very large. But for the smaller scale ones that you can do on a mobile phone app, the average runtime to launch a new project is only 6 to 8 months in Singapore. If you're going to take 3 to 5 years, number one, all your team members will probably go hungry. Am I right? No money. So you need to work fast. But with a big enterprise, it's different. They already have the budget and the revenue, but that's why the process takes longer. Now, talking about use cases, big companies are already on the bandwagon. I was giving a travel and tourism sharing at a meetup yesterday. Yeah, my sharings are usually free, right? So, we were talking about Chris Flyer from Singapore Airlines, AirAsia, giving out loyalty points. And they are bringing together the loyalty points from all the different airlines so that you can use the points on a hotel as well as to a car rental and beyond. So big big enterprises are already adopting blockchain. I have lost my Singapore Airlines points because I got a free flight to Bali. But I totally forgot about it. It's like, oh, okay, that points. But wow, I should have gone to Bali actually. No, I enjoy Jakarta too. Right? So how many of you are actually forgotten about your points? Right?
Almost everybody.
Almost everybody, right? How often do you log into a Chris Flyer thing? It's because it's only one airline. I want to do other things, so maybe I don't log in all the time, right? So that's one use case in the airline industry. The hotel are also coming together, I can tell you for sure. Hilton Hotel, Shangri-la, Hyatt, Pullman, Campesky. If you just like to enjoy the hospitality of one particular hotel, that's fine. But if I go to a country and I don't have a Campesky then my points cannot use. But if the points I can use on a Hilton over there, or Shangri-La, so even the large boys are also seeing that there is a economies of scale involved here. Right? This is one of the use cases already. And that is already underway. Now, in the finance space, payment systems, all of us have got bank accounts, right? If I walk out here, I'm going to tell you, say I'm going to meet at least 50 people in the next 10-minute walk that don't have a bank account. Am I right? So, they need to have money and they have to have a payment system, but the bank don't allow them because they never have a birth certificate. They can't identify how they came to Jakarta, Barat. So, the unbanked still need to survive. So that is already underway. Payment systems, payment gateways. Just one gentleman here was sharing with me payment gateways. So, payment gateways, if you start that up, 1 billion population or more, yeah. 1 billion. Singapore has only 2 million. One island of us, right? You drive 45 minutes, I fall into the sea anyway. Drive 45 minutes, you end up in sea anyway. Okay? So, if just some of these people have a payment system, they can actually get food and water, and you can do donations already, and they can buy a lot of things on a regular basis. On an international level, UNHCR is making the donations directly to the refugees. Do you know that everyone here is a walking passport? I just use face recognition, iris recognition, and I have a one single point of checking at immigration. I can supposed to, if everything's all integrated, I can actually go into a hotel without having to re-verify myself. And this is how the donations if you were to give today to Afghanistan or something, then what will happen is that they'll use their irises and their biometrics to actually take the funds to buy their rice in exchange. So you don't need paper passports anymore. So that's already also underway as well. Just to share with you. If you want to have more use cases, I can continue. But of course, I won't hog the mic.
I think what Rennie has just mentioned is the IoT in terms of the Internet of Things, basically. So, on that note, because the IoT has a huge data, I would say issues in terms of storing of data, and that's where the blockchain comes to help, right? Because we have a distributed ledger systems using the blockchain technology, and with what Rennie has mentioned in terms of use cases, that is something that most corporations and enterprise levels should come together and try to work out the differences to come up with something in terms of a common blockchain, for example. There are many ways to go about doing it, which means to say on a privacy level, you can actually segment out from the blockchain. So what you can do is there's a main blockchain, which is we usually call it a mainnet, and you can have side chains as well. I know this is going a bit deep for you guys, but this is the kind, because you're just I just want to share with the Indonesian counterparts that this is something that you can glean from us. We have gone through enough, I think even with the esteemed panelists themselves, have gone through enough studies to understand that the blockchain has a lot of potential to use for your businesses. And as a result, even in the first case, like the first use case of the airlines itself, let's just take it from a utopian mindset, okay? And I know this is just a dream, because corporate has a lot of red tapes, basically. But for some reason or another, Silk Air has Air Indonesia, and okay, I'm not too familiar with this, so let's just give a few airlines. So Air Vietnam, Singapore Airlines, and Southeast Asia, ASEAN, basically, all combine together and form a blockchain, a common blockchain, and share that information across. Put aside their differences in terms of wanting to make profits and things like that. And that's why I'm saying that I'm sharing a dream, because this is utopian, right? It's very hard to succeed in, because you're going to have different people's opinion. All the CEOs are going to come in and say, why should I be sharing my profits with the rest? But if a political figure can galvanize, and I say political because they have the larger influencers, basically, if they can galvanize the airlines together,
Yes.
then that
Yes, very good.
is something that we can dream of, basically. And I